Okay, so I have chosen, I'll choose a model that would be on the more simple side to prevent long processing times. So one of the items was a black briefcase, and I'm just going to enlarge this and mention how it is that I went about taking the pictures in the first place. Because there is a process for that too. Now, I'm not going to be covering that this morning. That's more of an on-site thing. But what we usually do is, put an object that we want photogrammetrized on a table, and we put a ruler in the scene to then allow for scaling in the 3D program. So here's my object. It's like a black briefcase, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick all the pictures. They usually are like around, if you do 3 orbits around the object and then zoom in for a bit of detail, it usually amounts to an average of 300 pictures for an object like this. So here I'm gonna go and pick them all. Then what I do is drag this to the left. You're going to want to be in the to have this window up here. It's usually on by default. So there, the images are being added. You can then see, if you click on this little plus sign, you'll see that all the images have been loaded. And then just go to mesh model, alignment. In alignment, the alignment tab, you're going to hit align images. And it'll do its thing. It's going to try to recognize common points in pictures, and that way it stitches a sort of point cloud together. Okay. It'll keep going for a few seconds. Any questions up until that point?
Is there a specific size or anything that needs to be for your image sizes or anything, or is it like just as high resolution as you can get them?
No, in fact, I'm working with resolutions of about 4,000, and it's a JPEG. But we have brought in NEFs, raw images that hold a lot more information. In case we need to adjust it in Lightroom, but it's pretty robust in handling large size files. So here's the point cloud. It shows the pictures that were taken. So all these white dots, if you zoom in, it's more like a little camera icon. Those are all the pictures and its positioning in 3D space. So as you can see, it has a sort of like tornado, 3 orbits around, and then some close-ups. So here we have the point cloud. The next step that I go to is the Scene 3D tools. I'm gonna reduce this cube that you see to have the program process only what is needed, not what is not needed. That avoids file size, larger file sizes, and processing times that are unnecessary. So I'm going to go to Tools, and first I'm going to set the ground plane. What this does is makes sure that it's straight. Some of these, the locations for some of these things are take a little bit of getting used to. For example, when I try to change the viewing angle, it'd be nice if it was like on every screen, but I have to go into View here, and I do about 3 orthographic views. So first I'm going to start with the top. Go back to Tools. Okay, set ground angle. So you get a little faint rotation, and I'm trying to make sure that that's straight. And I go to left, make sure the ground plane is straight. It is pretty straight right there. Let me see. And then front. Yeah. I'll go back to the top, and now the next step is to reduce this processing area. So I'm going to go to Set Reconstruction Region. Just click on that, and it'll give you these little handles, circles on either side, on all sides that you can push in to reduce. Now, all I want is the briefcase, maybe a little bit of the plane. So I don't need this outside point cloud. Then I'll reduce this here up to the ruler, and this up to here. I change my view left. And then front. So that looks fine. I'm going to go back to perspective. And here's my object. So I have it encased in a processing area that is, all that I need. And then the next step is to go to mesh model. And I'm going to go ahead and hit normal detail. There are other steps to this process where other fidelity comes into play. Like you can hit the preview and it gives you a lower resolution sort of visualization. However, for our purposes, usually normal detail is just fine. So that'll go ahead and process for a bit. And one of the other things you can do is, for example, with this briefcase, it lays on the table, but you can take photograph two passes of it, one with it laying upside down, and then you can create a mesh model that is the complete object with all sides visible, and you can take the table out of the equation. That is a more in-depth process out of the scope for this presentation, but perhaps I'll do that on a different day. That comes in handy for objects that are complex and you need all sides of. Okay, it's doing its thing. Any questions up until that point?
No, but my inner 3D slut is super excited. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah,
Can
I've
you
done
go
this
over what
with
the
some
software is?
free software. This is a reality capture.
Right.
Are there other softwares that do something similar then?
Yeah, there's some free ones out there that you could play around with. They're not near as good as this one, but this one
and
comes with a
RealityScan is
hefty,
free. Yeah.
hefty.
Yeah, so it's part of the software of Epic Games. They acquired it, I think, within two years ago or so.
You can also get it on your phone as well.
Right.
There's a question in there by
Jeremiah.
Joshua.
Jeremiah did this to
Oh.
Josh.
Yeah. Well, whenever we had the
Um,
3D scanner and did, oh no, I did do just with pictures, didn't I?
No, you
And
used
whenever
the
we
3D scanner.
got well, we had what was that one character creator, and I was doing this with like everybody around in the office, putting their face on characters, and I was putting on stupid clothes on them. Actually, I scroll through my like picture gallery in my phone, and I run across those photos every now and then. It's so stupid. It is fun.
when Henry came in once, we took I mean, I took photogrammetry of him. He was sitting in a chair in the tech area, and I did a 360 of him. So it came out pretty good, and Jim started making a character out of him.
To put
So
him in the Blackhawk and stuff.
yeah, he's he's like the instructor avatar. I'll have to pull it up and show that in the chat. Henry's model.
Boom, boom. It does take a while, folks.
Right,
The
and this
more
is one of the more
pictures, the
simple
more
objects.
detail, the longer it takes.
I will say this is useful on vehicles that need to be detailed. It helped a lot on the Gray Eagle. Because of the fuselage, I needed to be shaped just right because we were doing all of the interior.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be like mushy and gross looking, but it does the proportions justice. So when we started fitting in like all of the smaller parts inside, they fit well. There was no guessing really for most of it.
It helped on
So that
C-130 as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the point of it, mostly it's to get the proportions right. You'll get photogrammetry meshes that vary in quality depending on how the pictures were taken and the lighting. So you'll have some that look like a finished model and some that you can see that, the program is filling in gaps and all sorts of things. But the important thing is getting the proportions, the details, you can add those in 3D, no problem.
Especially when you're trying to do things that move and link together, hook up, and whatnot. It's
right.
It's nice because it takes a lot of the guesswork out. Because like before we started doing photogrammetry, it was a lot of pictures with calipers and it just a lot of math transferring things over, either to inches or metric or whatever that other. There's like another one where basically a foot is broken down into tens. I forget what that's called, but I've had that before.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the difference between the Mark II Blackhawk that was built and the Mark III. There were things that had to be stretched and pulled and all sorts of adjustments done for the Mark II Blackhawk because things were not fitting as they should. And then we employed photogrammetry, and then the Mark III was, it just fit like a jigsaw puzzle.
Sounds like you're making an Iron Man suit, the Mark III.
That's what they were doing, basically.
We should make an Iron Man suit.
If I were rich, I would buy that Iron Man helmet that people have for sale that closes and opens. That one looks good.
That would be cool.
Just make one out of cardboard.
I'm just gonna draw with crayons, right?
Just get some cardboard, make it and shape it, put some resin on it, fiberglass. You got it, dude.
Easy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of materials that people use, like Warbla is one that I think they could do that with. You can do a large 3D print, of course. And
some people
3D
just
pens.
sculpt it out of clay or foam and then like fiberglass. Yeah. Fiberglass I think is like one of the cheapest materials that you can do anything with. And then if you get really confident, go into carbon. Because it's basically the same thing, just more expensive.
Yeah,
and if you're really confident, you can just use duct tape.
That's true.
On the inside. Yeah.
Back in high school, I had a pair of shorts that were duct tape.
I'm inclined to believe that.
Well, I mean, it's true. Is back in my day, duct tape wallets and just duct tape in general was like a fad. So we just see who had the craziest like duct tape item.
Dude, I remember prom dresses and jackets made out of it.
Yeah.
My family grew up poor. At one point, the house was about 12% duct tape.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Oh, duct tape's expensive.
Not if you use it on stuff that's more expensive, like
Mhm.
fixing a roof, fixing a car. You always go duct tape. Dad, the windshield's falling out. Brrr. No, it's not. Dad, it's still falling out. Brrr. Not after this one.
Oh, Percy, you have a question. Do you take pictures manually or have some camera rig? We take pictures manually. We physically as for our job purposes, and we orbit around them. Sometimes I'll use a chair for a sort of low angle and just roll myself around the object. But there are camera rigs that can be set up. It's just I guess more expensive and wouldn't work for taking pictures of vehicles and objects that are larger than what would be within a camera rig. So, for example, there was a company that I think in Tennessee that set up a sort of cylindrical booth where cameras were like maybe 100 cameras were, or maybe a little bit less, but
they do that at like EAA for people
right.
too.
They were placed along that cylinder all around, and you just had to snap all cameras at once with a person inside, and you would get this point cloud that they would make 3D characters out of,
And texture data.
personalized.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Then there's there's 3D printers now that can print out color data as well.
The big thing when you're taking these pictures, you want to make sure there's plenty of overlap. And the biggest struggle you're going to have, especially dealing with airframes, is that you get large patches that just look the same. And so it has trouble knowing where in space that lives sometimes. So putting things in the scenes like rulers on areas you think are going to be trouble are helpful.
All right. We've also used blue masking tape to give it a sort of marker to go by. And Joshua, was your question answered? You said, is Reality Capture free initially? They only charge when you export. I'm not sure. I can look into that, but I mean, I've been using it based on our floating licenses here at work. I know that they have a sort of pay as you go or per item, per scan fee. And but since Epic Games acquired Reality Capture, I'm not sure how the pricing has changed. Well, here's the mesh model. It did a pretty good job with it, but the real thanks Sam. The real what is it? Photo likeness is once we put the texture on. Once it applies the texture data from the photos. What I'm going to do now though is let me take out these little camera icons by unchecking enabled here in view, and I don't need the polygons that make up this bottom part of the table. As far as the rest of it, we reduce the processing area enough that, that's pretty good as far as the polygons we need. But I'm going to take this out just to demonstrate. So I'm going to go into tools. Well, first, I'm going to do a side view. in tools, you have this rectangle or lasso or box. I'm going to choose the rectangle selection tool and just select the bottom of this table.
It looks like it's free unless you make over $1 million. So it's like,
Oh, really?
yeah. So it's free to use for everybody. But I mean, if you probably put it underneath, I3, you're going to have a license and everything. So that's about 1,200 or so a month.
I think for hobbying, we're good then.
Yeah, I think we're fine with hobbying because I just
Yeah,
installed it.
Unreal's always good about that. Or Epic.
So I have these selected here. I'm gonna delete those, and the way to delete it is, you don't have a delete button, but it's called filter selection. So just to demonstrate, hit that, and it'll take some of these polygons at the bottom that I don't need. This comes more into use when you really don't have, you really have a lot more polygon area that you don't need. Here I just, had the bottom here. I'm gonna go back into perspective. So I have my ruler here, it's visible, and then the item. So that should be good. Oh, one more thing. Before adding the texture, I want to reduce the polygon count. So if I click on component 1, it creates a component every time you process something. So component 1 is the object that I have right now. It has 22.3 million triangles. For an object like this, it's pretty simple. I don't need all 22.3. And you kind of get used to like how much to reduce the object. For an object like this, I'd probably reduce it to like 1/3 of the polygons. I'm gonna go ahead and let me see, I'm gonna do actually a little bit more, so 10 million. So I'm gonna go to tools. There's a simplify tool right here. Click on that. And here's my target triangle count. I'm going to change that to 10 million. So I'm just going to change the 25 to 10 and simplify. Hope that was 10 million. Let me see. Yeah, 10 million.
And just a side note question too. Are you using a specific camera when you're doing these?
What we have is Nikon cameras. Those are the ones that I grab. I'm just more familiar with the Nikon cameras. Does anyone know if we have Canon? We've acquired more cameras, but I haven't used anything else other than the Nikon ones.
I mean, all Orlando has are the Nikons.
Right.
I believe I saw on their website you can even use your phone. Someone
you can pretty
did
much
like
use
a
anything,
share.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a scan with my phone. I took some data with a tricycle, and it came out, pretty good as far as usability. However, with a Nikon, you get a lot more detail, more nuanced detail. It's a little bit blockier with my phone camera, but again, it depends on what kind of phone you have too. So perhaps with a higher end phone, you might get a little bit better data.
nice.
So that's doing its thing. And what's left is pretty much just to add the texture to it, and then you have your photogrammetry mesh. So just wait till this finishes and then hit the texture button. There are models. So I chose a simple model just for demonstration, but for larger models, it may form a point cloud that just captures parts of the vehicles. So there might be a gap where it skipped over, and there was a missing marker, or the data wasn't photographed properly or with enough close spacing. So there are ways to stitch together 2 point clouds. It's adding control points. You're pretty much telling the software, look, this screw over here is the same screw in this other point cloud group of photos, and go ahead and recognize this as a sort of common point. Or look, here's this little piece of tape that we put on the object, and recognize that as a common point between 2 groups of point clouds that you're not recognizing at the moment, or one object. So that is a bit of a more advanced demo for our purposes here. This is ready to be textured, so I'm going to go to Mesh Model and hit the texture button. At some point, I guess I can also do a demonstration on how to take the photogrammetry data, but I'd probably need to do it with a non-work item, and perhaps in my driveway I'll film it and kind of do a recording of it, because on site, you have to deal with security things and just
Yeah,
getting
if
the
you
work
want to
done.
do that, that'd be cool. And then maybe like with all the processing, just edit it to where it speeds up and make a cool video, puts it up on Confluence.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it'll cut off these like processing times too.
You could also be using Sergeant's time every week to go do that. Just saying.
Yeah, true.
That's what it's for. Learning and
Put it up on
growing.
a YouTube channel, make a little passive income.
Everybody here is like, oh,
Great idea.
great
Yeah, good
idea.
luck.
All of a sudden, there's all the reality capture freaking videos you could want. Wow, I know all these people.
Well, there's a new decimate modifier that Blender just updated for 4.5, and you can bring that data in right inside there and decimate that sucker down like crazy. It's awesome. It holds on to quite a bit of the data, including the texture data.
I like watching.
Nice.
Well, I don't know if any of you are into like dirt bikes, quads, and all that, but right now the industry like really doesn't have any racing quads except for Yamaha. So like I watched this one guy basically scan like the TRX 250R from like the 80s, which is like one of the greatest two-stroke like quads ever made, but he's basically redesigning modernizing the frame. So he took scan data and is in there doing CAD modeling because he runs a machine shop that does a lot of that stuff. Because they've been converting like dirt bikes into quads and making kits for that, but he's redesigning the entire like 250R frame to house like more modern engine and all that. I think that stuff's super awesome. But practical uses for 3D, not just pretty games.
Even 3D printing homes, right? That'll be another
yeah.
use.
Oh, dude, I actually got to watch somebody do one of those. With that, have you seen the new like you can print out an entire home, the walls and everything? It's got this cool machine that just sits in the center, and you get
It
to
looks
watch
like
it
it's
going
straight
back
out
and
of
forth.
Star Wars.
It does, and it's
yeah.
freaking awesome to watch it do it.
Looks like a house that'd be in the middle of the desert. It's all concrete and yeah, those
How
things
did
are
the-
sick.
How do those stand up to like extreme weather conditions?
Oh, they're solid. It's printing using cement.
Oh, nice.
Right,
Yeah,
but how did they
that's
do
what-
Did they just input the rebar afterwards to give it more rigidity?
No,
So-
they don't input the. Oh,
They don't
no,
do
go
anything.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go
go ahead. Go for it. Go for it. You tell them. It's kind of cool. It's the
Um,
process by which they're doing it. So
Yeah, because you use rebar to reinforce it for sure, but these houses need no reinforcement because of where they're being built. You can't just build these concrete houses anywhere. Like you wouldn't go to a California suburb and print out one of these houses. It wouldn't work. Does
I
that make
figure
sense?
there'd be a lot of climate changes because the way that concrete just expands and closes off, like they have to put stuff in there, I'm assuming, to allow it to expand and contract. Or else over time it'll just degrade.
And you're absolutely right. That's why I saw a video on how if you're by some miracle, or I should say some unfortunate miracle, stranded in Alaska, how you can actually, with nothing but like a stick and some know-how, you can build a house and a fire and have a perfectly warm, comfortable, for lack of a better word, pseudo igloo in less than 40 minutes, which would be less time than it would take for you to freeze to death.
Yeah, I wonder if they could do it where it has dual printer heads and then like they could actually print out like something like iron to where they could be printing out rebar and then covering it with the cement. Because that
I'm
could
sure
also
they-
help with the cooling process too, right, on it? So I
I've
wonder if there
actually
could be
seen
something
tech
like that.
that, but I don't think they would do it because it wouldn't be cost effective.
dang, look at that. That looks cool.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Oh darn,
There it
go
is.
to Unity.
Nope, that's
Good.
wrong. We have to redo it all.
Killing our dreams, Jeremiah, just killing us.
That's all wrong. Look at the table. It's missing. No, that actually is super clean.
Sweet, dude. Looks really nice.
Thanks. Trying to get
That's it. I retire. See you guys.
So
Goodbye.
let's say
We must
something like
destroy
this.
this technology before it reaches the other minds.
Let's say with Unreal Engine's what do they call the ability to handle all unlimited amount of polygons,
Man,
nanite. Something like this could also just, in theory, this can handle this in the background, for in the environment. It's probably, it's not best practice, but for something as simple as this.
That's like,
But
it looks
it's
nice.
doable, I would think.
Yeah, they did it with that demo they came out with that girl in the desert.
Right.
They scanned a bunch of statues and I believe the rocks too. All right, guys,
Oh.
early retirement.
So that's a finished photogrammetry mesh, and pretty much what you do after that, for our purposes, is take a screenshot of this. You're going to add that to the version control software, because that gives you a thumbnail at what that model looks like, and then go to mesh model, and it doesn't have an export button. That's more intuitive, but it has dense mesh model. Dense mesh model, you hit that, and that's what will allow you to export your photogrammetry mesh. One last thing is, once that's exported, you can bring it into the 3D program of your choice, or when you're ready to model it, and make sure that you use this ruler to scale it down to the scene size, so then you'll be working with sort of what it would be in life size. And that concludes this demo. Any questions?
You killed it. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Percy.
Thank you. Yeah, Percy.
Awesome presentation, my friend. Question is this high-res mesh good enough that like you can use it as a high poly to bake a low poly, or it comes with a lot of noise stuff?
It comes with a lot of noise. Yeah. I did a photogrammetry pass on an object, personal object, and it came with some holes that you had to fill in. You know, for example, this one, if you look at it from underneath, there's like this big hole here. Also, there are areas where the detail, the camera didn't go in there. You see right here. So to get the proportions right, that's not a big deal. But if you're going to use it as an asset to to bake from, or to use outright, then you're going to want to do some cleanup. I took my object into ZBrush and closed some of the holes, remeshed it, and made it usable. But yeah, it's right off the bat, you might have to do some cleanup.
Not
So,
bad. Looks really good, dude.
Percy, thanks for pushing me or inspiring me to do this demo. But there it is.
Cool.
Oh man, you had to share that knowledge. It's I'm pretty sure we all learned something here today.
Cool.
Thanks.
Well, if that's happened, then I've done my job.